financial problems, elder law, tax problems, business matters, divorce, personal injury, bankruptcy, your life, your reality. Life is complicated. There is the law and there is reality. Welcome to Law and Reality, sponsored by THAV GROSS. Now here's your host, Ken Gross.
Welcome to this segment of Law and Reality. Today's topic is you have the right to remain silent, so do it.
Good idea.
On that basis, I'm going to say good morning to Brian Small, but remain silent. Pat Simasco, good morning.
Good morning.
You may talk.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Wait. Life is not always fair, my child. My son.
Sorry, pal.
Buddy.
This boy doesn't stay quiet.
Scott Weinberg. Scott,
You're allowed
criminal
to
law
talk.
expert.
I am allowed to talk.
You are the feature of this show. Scott, welcome to Law and Reality. Scott is the new member of the Law and Reality team. He's a criminal law professional, career criminal law
I don't think you're allowed
attorney.
to say expert, actually. I think
Expert?
I don't
Expert's
think you're
good.
allowed to say expert.
Why not?
I don't know. I think just
I
tax
think you are.
professionals.
I
Okay, you
think
can
you're
call me an expert.
I would consider.
After
say whatever you
31
want.
years of practice.
You can't say you're an
expert.
He can
I
say whatever
consider
he
you a
wants.
consummate expert.
Wow.
Actually.
You know, I've known Scott for 30 years. I was a defense lawyer for doing criminal work, and Scott was the prosecutor that would give me so much grief back in the day. So
Well, you didn't
jumped
take me out
over
to lunch
the-
enough. You should have taken me
Apparently
out.
so.
That's the
Apparently
problem.
so.
So is that how it works?
Oh,
Nah, that's
yeah.
not
It's all about. Maybe
You know
in the old
what?
days, maybe it was all about food.
The old
Don't
days.
tell Acosta that.
Yeah, it helps.
I'm sure there was.
It
Some,
helps.
I'm sure there was some lunches
Well, it's
there.
great to be on the show. Thank you for letting me join.
It's a
I'm
little background.
really excited
So
about
Your
it.
managing partner, Michigan criminal law lawyer, started in 1997. Give us a little background, right, in terms of. So I know you were, just like Pat said,
Right.
you were with the Macomb County Prosecutor's Office, but now you're defense, so you've been on both sides.
You know, I have, and it's one of those kind of things. I was just I was actually playing golf with a judge the other day, and we were talking about what makes a good judge, what makes a good prosecutor, what makes a good defense attorney, and it's really an attorney that has seen a lot of those different kind of sides. Same kind of thing probably with, potentially someone doing bankruptcy work, someone that's, maybe worked for the IRS too, or someone that has seen the other side. So I was a prosecutor in Macomb County under Carl Marlinga, who's actually a circuit court judge now.
Sure.
And that was great. I got a lot of experience in a lot of capital cases. We did I was head of the sex crime unit at the time. So we did any of the cases on child molesting, anybody from 4 years old to 15 years old. And it really gave a good experience about
What do
that.
you think about the Jeffrey Epstein situation? That's like the hottest potato in the news media right now.
Yeah, so, the issue that people miss on that
Yeah.
Which is that? I'm not familiar with that case.
So that's the one in Florida where they basically, this is a billionaire that in the 2000s
Oh, yeah.
was charged with running a sex ring, or at least trafficking in underage minors.
For himself, it sounded like, not for other people.
Well, now that's one of the things is, so the recent
Maybe for
charge
his buddies.
is that
Yeah.
he's charged with conspiracy, and that really comes in important. So basically what it was, they were doing an investigation, lots and lots of kids that he was supposedly molesting. It was a terrible case, and the U.S. attorney picked it up, had a 55-page indictment, so a lot of evidence on him, but the local state attorney, the prosecuting attorney, like my old office would be down there, instead had a grand jury indictment of one count. And so the U.S. attorney said, we're going to do a non-prosecution agreement because he's going to be pleading to this state
He
case.
pled to one
He
instead of
pled to the
55.
one. He got 18 months in prison. He did about a year, but one
But
of
he
the...
got to work at his office.
Well, you got
12
work
hours a day.
release.
Yeah.
So, when a defendant comes to me and says, listen, I'll plead to something, but I got to keep my job, I got to pay my rent, I got to pay my debts, my credit card bill, what am I going to do? We try to get him work release, so he either sleeps at the jail or sometimes on tether, home arrest. But it was really a sweetheart deal for a guy that if he was prosecuted federally, would have gone away for life.
So they make this deal, and now 17 years later,
Yeah.
the same U.S. attorney in the Southern District of New York
Yeah.
is now charging him. Isn't the U.S. attorney? I'm not a fan of Jeffrey Epstein. I want everyone to understand that. But procedure, I'm wondering, how do you make a deal in 2004 with the U.S. attorney, and then in 2019 or whatever, you're now being charged by the U.S. attorney? I realize New York and Florida aren't the same, but it's the same United States.
He
same
probably
attorney.
didn't
Is that deal a deal?
He probably didn't take the new U.S. attorney to lunch enough,
I would think
like
you're
he did the
probably right.
last
Or a
one.
cost.
I don't think the Southern District of New York goes to lunch at all.
It's more expensive to go to lunch in New York.
Yeah.
But, well, the issue is here.
Is that an issue?
The
Yeah.
defense argument is, there's a couple arguments. One, it's double jeopardy. You can't be prosecuted for the same crime under our Constitution if you've pled guilty or worked out a deal on that similar crime. The difference here is that, one, it can be different victims. They had 80 victims that have come forward that were interviewed about this. So that's one, could be different victims and therefore different crimes. And two, this non-prosecution agreement was uniquely stated that it was only for that district.
Oh,
Generally,
so
it's for everything.
So it left
This
the U.S.
one left it
attorney
open.
free everywhere else.
And that's the argument that
That was kind of a
the U.S.
mistake.
attorney. I think that's a big mistake by the attorney.
By the
but he had
defense-
big.
by the
He had
defense attorney.
Dershowitz. He had.
So you can only get what you can get.
well, they.
Yeah, is
well,
what
what you
it
pay
comes down
for.
to. Yeah.
So I think they are going to prosecute him. They're going to go forward with it. But I think he actually is liable for lots of other issues like financial crimes and tax issues that the Southern District of New York is looking into. So he's got a whole mess of trouble.
If you look at it, they only need one victim that has a serious crime that he can
Yeah.
go away for life.
You know, there's a jury instruction in state law that says if you believe the victim, the complainant, beyond any reasonable doubt, you need no other corroborating evidence. You don't need any pictures, you don't need any other witnesses. You just need to believe
believe the
that
victim.
one person.
Wow.
And those are tough
Interesting.
cases to prosecute and to defend.
All right, moving back, a little background. So I understand you're a U of M undergrad,
Go blue.
economics BA.
Yes,
So-
I was.
So we have another Go Blue
Go blue.
to match up with Brian.
Go
That's
blue.
good. Well, although my
I'm
money
gonna
was
go green.
destroyed.
Pat, you're
Wayne State, Tartar,
well, I'm actually a Tartar too.
a warrior now.
Hey, my
But
dad
we
went
were
to Wayne
Tartars at the time.
My dad played basketball for Wayne State in 1950.
They had
There
a
you go.
basketball team?
Yeah. That,
I hear
Two
they
hands.
have a
Well,
basketball.
first
Your
question,
dad was not very tall.
first question is, what's a tartar?
Tartar sauce. We'll take a break. We'll be back and we'll go forward with Scott.
Carrying too much debt? Resolve your debt. Call THAV GROSS.
You don't need to be broke, and you don't need to hit rock bottom. If you have income and you're struggling with debt, dump it. Think about the next 10 or 20 years. If you do what the banks tell you, you'll have nothing to retire with. There is a solution.
Don't waste your future. Call THAV GROSS. We're experts at eliminating credit card debt. 888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP. Is the debt piling up? Struggling to get by?
It's all about preserving future income. Bankruptcy is one option. When it's right, it's the least costly, most effective way to save your home, eliminate a second mortgage, and wipe out credit card debt. But you need to address the problem now.
We help people with bankruptcy. Call the experts.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
I love you too. Bye-bye. That was Jerry. Emma just said her first word.
Oh,
Jerry says hello and they'll be over soon.
who's Jerry? Is he a friend of yours?
No. This Jerry. Our Jerry. And this is his wife and their little girl.
You can't work. You have to deal with pain and stress. Worse yet, our system for applying for disability benefits seeks to deny you the benefits you're entitled. Jeff Kirschner is an expert in obtaining disability and workers' compensation benefits for his clients. You need to call Jeff before you apply or after you're denied to get the benefits you deserve. 888-235-HELP. 888-235-HELP. Tax problems are major problems. Don't let the IRS levy your wages and seize your assets. There is a solution.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
If you're behind on your taxes and owe money to the IRS, call THAV GROSS.
We've been solving tax problems for 32 years. We stop wage levies, resolve unfiled returns, and obtain the best possible settlements.
Call THAV GROSS today, 888-235-HELP. If you're retired and in a financial crisis, there is a way out.
It pains me when I see a retired couple exhaust their savings by paying credit card bills and for a home hopelessly underwater.
THAV GROSS specializes in helping retired people in financial crisis.
You just can't keep paying until you're broke. You need to address the problem now.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
We're THAV Gross. Our firm will solve your problem. Okay, all right, so that was interesting with Jeffrey, whatever his last name, Epstein situation. I got another one. I was looking through your bio and everything, and I saw that you headed the defense team on that U of M, the U of M students that were charged in the Treetops resort damage case. That was all over the news.
That was crazy.
Yeah.
That
So
really was.
Tell us about it. As I recall, it was a bunch of U of M students were staying at the resort. I'm not sure why they were there, some kind of a function or something.
Well,
and they trashed the place.
Yeah, it was a retreat that these fraternities and sororities put together. But the thing about the trash, this Treetops was in bankruptcy. I don't know if they used you, but they probably should have used you.
Yeah.
So they were in receivership, and they were still running it under the trustee running it.
Which is common.
So, but it was not in good shape. They needed hundreds of thousands of dollars to put into this place to get it fixed up. So our kids were up there.
So you're saying if the walls are dirty, what matter? Does it matter if someone kicks a hole
Well,
in the
the
wall?
ceilings
I'm
weren't falling
taking
in.
a little bit. I'm going to challenge you a little bit there.
Well, the reason I mention is because the kids did a bunch of damage up there,
Yeah.
and then the prosecutor was trying to get the kids to, you talk about trying to remain silent, try to turn on each other, because he had no real evidence of who did what, just that it was trash.
So when you were a prosecutor, did you do those kind of sneaky things too?
Oh, yeah.
You try.
Oh, yeah.
You remember?
As a
Oh, yeah.
prosecutor, you use as much leverage
Yeah,
legally
absolutely.
as you can. But here's what happened. So,
Okay.
because I wouldn't let any of these kids talk, and we had a bunch of lawyers that we put together to do it, they sent down the elders from the fraternity to try and get the parents to get the fraternity members to talk about each other, and no one would do it. So
There's
we
a
went
couple
up.
movies about that.
Well, that's right. So we went up to the prosecutor.
This is why I said you have the right to remain silent, so do it.
You know what it really is? We say it, you have the right to shut up. This is what we tell these kids. You have the right to shut up, because nobody can make you talk. And the worst thing you can do is not necessarily not talk, is to lie. You can always not talk, you can tell the truth, but you can't lie.
Because
And
then
that's
they
where
catch you
some of
in
these
the
people
lie,
get-
they got you.
It's exactly right. So we went up and we tried to make the deal with the prosecutor up there, and we offered $250,000 in restitution. All these parents around the country
Everyone's gonna kick
were
in.
coming together for the kids, which people might say let the kids. They have to pay for their own stuff, but they were coming together with a restitution. We were
Kids
offering
don't have
community
money
service.
of their own. It all comes from their parents. The parents may force
Well,
the
that's true,
children
too.
to
They can
repay
work and
them.
repay 'em, yeah.
But-
And the prosecutor wanted nothing. He wanted to prosecute as many
Wanted blood.
kids as possible. Of course, he was a Sparty, but that's beside the point. So,
Naturally.
yeah. So we walked out. We didn't have a deal with them. They prosecuted just 3 of the kids with misdemeanors. They were all under what's called HIDA, Homes Youthful Training Act
What is that?
status, which means it stays private. You go through probation, and then it doesn't show any type of
It
conviction.
expunges your
Right,
record.
but it's
so to
not just
speak.
for that. It's a good program for anybody who's charged with a crime between 17 and 24 to be able to try to get Homes Youthful Training Act.
You're allowed to be dumb once.
Yeah.
You're allowed
Is
to be
it
dumb
only on
once.
a
Does that-
first offense?
No, it doesn't have to be a first offense, but it's in the statute that is specifically because people under the age of 24, their brains are not formed adequately enough, so the legislature comes back and says, we'll give them we'll give them
chance.
this
It's called the
break.
So-
Homes Youthful Training Act.
Right.
Now that applies to things like
Are you, Brian,
shoplifting.
Are you 24?
I am.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No.
He used his a long time
Right,
ago.
yeah. So that would apply to like kids shoplifting.
Yeah.
But does it apply to drunk driving?
Not drunk driving.
So yeah, there's things it doesn't. It doesn't apply to traffic offenses. Traffic offenses actually, if you get convicted of a traffic offense, can never get off your record.
Right.
Those are excluded. Drunk driving, even reckless driving, you can't get off your
What
record.
about assault?
So all those kind of things have different type of rules, but generally speaking, most crimes are. There's some crimes that aren't.
Serious
Capital
crimes,
Yeah.
you can't. Like
Criminal sexual
aggravated,
conduct.
You can't murder somebody and
stab someone
plead
with a
under
knife.
Well, you can stab them.
But if you
Can't kill them.
but if you got I just read about somebody getting into a bar fight the other day, and
Yeah.
they got arrested for that.
Yeah. You
That
can
would
get
be the
that
type
under-
of thing that could
Yeah.
come off of a record.
Or more serious crimes, drug-related offenses. I mean, you can have delivery of drugs. There's a lot of serious things that still, but very serious ones like arson and stuff like that, you can't.
Okay. Interesting.
It's the home
Again, it's for the
youthful-
kids that are
youth-
doing
What's the
something
name of that
stupid.
act? I want to put it up on the
Homes
screen.
Youthful Training Act. And there's a lot of under-advisement statutes, like you talked about assault. Let's say you're in a domestic violence relationship, your husband is charged with it, he has no priors, he can plead to what's called 769.4. It's a statute that allows it to be under advisement. You go to counseling, and at the end of it, as long as you complete it, it's dismissed off your public record. It's always kept in your non-public record. And don't, if anybody's charged with a crime, don't think that's just because they think it's deferred and then dismissed. Prosecutors and the
They
federal
still have
government don't
access
know.
to it.
It stays on your private record where the FBI and everybody knows about it. They just can't show it on your public.
So employers that are doing background searches on you won't find that out
They're not
unless
supposed to find
or unless the employer. But if the employer is the police department or the federal government, they probably do get access.
So
to
let me
that.
add, so that's an interesting question. So a kid's applying for a job, would he have to put that on his job application that if he was convicted?
I've run into that a zillion times.
Yeah.
And the answer is you have to answer the questions honestly, because if you don't, you get hammered.
So if you
classic.
were,
My daughter had an MIP when she was a kid, okay? She went and graduated a teaching degree, and she's applying for her teaching job. And the question is, have you ever been arrested?
or convicted?
Just arrested.
That's the difference.
So the question is, do you say yes? And I researched it and checked it out, and the answer was yes. You say yes. They ask you about it, no big deal. In MIP, they could care less.
Yeah.
But if you say no and they find out about it, then they're saying, why did you lie on your application? And it becomes a much more serious issue.
But there's a couple things with that too. So the first thing is you got to know the question, right?
Yes.
So you have to answer the exact question that's being asked.
Only the
Answer it.
correct.
And two, you're applying for federal cases, applying for a job, you're applying for loan applications. Those are under the penalty of perjury. So either way, you got to answer that. A regular kind of job, if you get caught on not answering right, you're probably going to get fired or something.
Yeah,
or
that's the
drunk.
consequences aren't going to jail for lying
Right.
on the thing. All right, let's take a break. When we come back, I want to talk about a topic that you kind of raised tangentially. Traffic tickets, traffic violations.
important.
We'll be back after the break.
Tax problems are major problems. Don't let the IRS levy your wages and seize your assets. There is a solution.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
If you're behind on your taxes and owe money to the IRS, call THAV GROSS.
We've been solving tax problems for 32 years. We stop wage levies, resolve unfiled returns, and obtain the best possible settlements.
Call THAV GROSS today, 888-235-HELP. Carrying too much debt? Resolve your debt. Call THAV GROSS.
You don't need to be broke, and you don't need to hit rock bottom. If you have income and you're struggling with debt, dump it. Think about the next 10 or 20 years. If you do what the banks tell you, you'll have nothing to retire with. There is a solution.
Don't waste your future. Call THAV GROSS. We're experts at eliminating credit card debt. 888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
You're all set to retire. You have your home paid off, money in the bank, and sound investments. But if you're not careful, all the things that you work so hard for can disappear. At Samasco Financial, we'll help you prevent that. We go beyond ordinary asset management. We'll safeguard everything that you have by creating a plan made specifically for you. How much can you afford to lose? Nothing. Protect the people that you love and the things that you have. Call Samasco Financial today.
Time for announcements. So I want to remind our viewers to listen to us for Law and Reality Live on the Praise Network, Tuesdays 10 o'clock a.m. and Saturdays 7 o'clock a.m. and on KISS 105.9 Sundays 7 o'clock a.m. Be sure and sign up for our monthly contest. Free $100 Visa gift card, Law and Reality hat, and copy of my book, Dump Your Debt. We have a seminar coming up Wednesday, July 24th, 6 to 7:30 p.m., Resolving Personal and Business Debt Issues. We're going to walk through the steps we take to preserve future income so that your income starts going to savings and retirement rather than going to the credit card companies. So the whole key is that you have something to retire with when you get to that age. We're going to talk about how to resolve tax issues as well. Attendees get a free copy of my book, Dump Your Debt. Sign up at thavgross.com, lawandreality.com, or go the old-fashioned way and simply call 888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP. Want to remind everybody you can always come into THAV Gross or Law and Reality for a free consultation. Just call 888-235-HELP or go on the website lawandreality.com, thavgross.com, and you can sign up, check the box that you want a consultation for. We'll call you back and schedule it. You got debt issues and estate planning issues with Brian, tax and business issues with myself and Jeff Kirshner, elder law issues with Pat Samasco, criminal law issues with Scott Weinberg, disability issues with Jeff Kirshner. Just go to the site, request the consult, or call the office. We're always happy to have you in. And when we do consults, they're not like meet and greets. We sit, we analyze the problem, we figure out the solution, we tell you what steps you need to take so that you have the plan to go forward and make the right decisions. Check out the websites as well. We have 4 free reports. Brand new one, Resolving Tax Problems, The Real Solution, written by yours truly, How to Save Your Home from Foreclosure, Business Formations, Loans and Grants for Small Businesses in Detroit and Michigan, and The Retiree's Guide to Social Security from Pat Samasco. I want to thank our sponsors, THAV Gross, Samasco Law, Michigan Criminal Lawyers PLC, and Jeff Kirshner Law. Now back to the show.
If you're retired and in a financial crisis, there is a way out.
It pains me when I see a retired couple exhaust their savings by paying credit card bills and for a home hopelessly underwater.
THAV Gross specializes in helping retired people in financial crisis.
You just can't keep paying until you're broke. You need to address the problem now.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
We're THAV Gross. Our firm will solve your problem.
You can't work. You have to deal with pain and stress. Worse yet, our system for applying for disability benefits seeks to deny you the benefits you're entitled. Jeff Kirshner is an expert in obtaining disability and workers' compensation benefits for his clients. You need to call Jeff before you apply or after you're denied to get the benefits you deserve. 888-235-HELP. 888-235-HELP. Is the debt piling up? Struggling to get by?
It's all about preserving future income. Bankruptcy is one option. When it's right, it's the least costly, most effective way to save your home, eliminate a second mortgage, and wipe out credit card debt. But you need to address the problem now.
We help people with bankruptcy. Call the experts.
We're THAV Gross. Our firm will solve your problem.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
All right, we're back. All right, Scott Weinberg, our criminal law expert, that I can call you an expert if I want, because you clearly are an expert. You mentioned tickets, because we're going to talk about a lot of topics over the course of the show with you, from the capital offenses of murder and the things that I think are really interesting from the standpoint of getting the inside scoop and analysis. Fortunately, it doesn't apply to most of us on a day-to-day basis. We would hope that it doesn't. But the things, domestic violence, drinking and driving, all these things, minors in possession, these things that come up on a frequent basis as well. But I'd say the most frequent one that everyone runs into is traffic tickets.
Yeah, it's true.
So I know you take a very strong position on that.
So here's the thing about tickets. The problem is people don't take traffic tickets serious enough. They're guided by, for instance, a police officer who's doing their job, say, hey, just take this, go to the court and pay it, no worries, it'll take 2 seconds. The problem is the least serious you take those, the more serious they become. For instance, you get a speeding ticket, something where someone says, a speeding ticket, maybe it's 1 or 2 points, I'll try to be better in the future. You go pay that speeding ticket. One, it goes on your record, and if you're a new driver, like a 16-year-old, it'll mess up your whole probationary period and extend it, maybe suspend it.
And quadruple your insurance.
Well, that's the thing, is so even one speeding ticket can increase your insurance. There was a study done for Michigan, especially with the new insurance no-fault laws coming out. And even, I mean, I just have a list. Even a speeding ticket can raise your insurance a couple $100. One speeding ticket a year. You get something like a reckless driving or a drunk driving, which here we call it operating impaired. That can increase it 200%, like $3,000-$4,000 a year because you pled to something. And you might have gotten advice from the police officer or your parents. Just go take care of it.
So what's the solution there?
Well, the solution, first of all, is you always have to talk to an attorney, whether it's me or anybody else. Always talk to an attorney before you ever go to court, period. I don't care if it's paying, now maybe a parking ticket is something different, but I've had people go pay their handicap violation tickets, and that goes on your record, and it can mess up your insurance too.
When you're trying to get the next deal, if you have all these tickets on your record from before, it's a lot harder to get the deal on the next deal.
Yeah. And, you know, it's interesting because they keep record of every deal you get, too. So you might get a deal one time to get a speeding ticket reduced that might be 2 points to let's say, impeding, it doesn't show up. But they have a what's called CLEMIS. They have a computer record of all that.
Who's they?
So the police and the prosecutors
Big
have
brother.
a record of it.
What about
That's
the insurance
right.
companies? What do they? How
Insurance
do they
company.
check it?
So here's the other thing. Once you get points for like an accident or anything like that, you might have that fall off your record. That falls off after 2 years in the state of Michigan. But the insurance keep insurance points for 3 years. So, and you can't see your insurance point list. So that's something you're only going to find out when you apply for insurance. So always call an attorney first before you pay a ticket.
Yeah,
What's the
let's-
procedure? What do you do to resolve the problem? Make sure that it's just reduced down to like impeding and
As the
just pay a
attorney?
fine? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, what you have to do, well, so you have, it all depends on the factual
Situation.
history of the
Right.
of the defendant or whoever you're representing. You have some good drivers that make you know, a couple of mistakes. You have some terrible drivers that, let's say you got a drunk drive. Somebody has 2 drunk drivings. He's got a reckless driving, and now he picks up a speeding ticket.
That's a
well, the
problem.
prosecutor is going to be more
Right.
serious on that guy, even though it's a minor ticket. Then you get someone who's got a perfect record, but he was driving recklessly, and so he got a misdemeanor reckless driving charge. He might offer something better.
You know,
Both of those defendants need your help.
Wait,
Let me-
a
wait,
misdemeanor.
Go ahead,
A
Mike.
misdemeanor?
No,
Wait, let
Pat's
me.
first.
One thing that you really have to watch out for is if you don't take care of them as you get them, all of a sudden your license is going to be suspended, and then you're going to drive again and get caught on a suspended license. And then when that happens, you're in this vicious cycle. You'll never get your license back.
Yeah, and that's true. So there, every time in Michigan, there's at any one time 150,000 suspended drivers because simply they didn't take care of their tickets. They either didn't pay them or they violated something. So you want to keep your driver's record. And what you always want to do is you want to check your CCH and your DLR before you ever apply for anything.
Final thoughts. We've got 20 seconds left. What's a CCH and a DLR?
So before, you know, we talked before about, you know, someone applying for a job. Always have your criminal computer history run, which we can do at the firm,
And the
or your
DR?
driving license record, so you know what you have on your record
And you
before
can,
you ever
you
apply.
can run those?
We can do that anytime.
We're going to continue the discussion on our next show. Thanks for being with us, Scott. Welcome to the Law and Reality team.
Welcome.
Pat, Brian, thanks for being here. Have a great week. We'll be back next week with Law and Reality.